When it comes to research, whether you're doing formal research, informal research, whatever the case may be, there's something that happens to everyone, but we don't always necessarily talk about it. It doesn't make the forefront when it comes to thinking about research, and that's the chaos. The chaos of having materials spread across all sorts of different applications and in all sorts of different places. A good example of that would be I might take notes and put them into Notion. I might have references in Zotero or Mendeley. I might have files in my OneDrive. I might have code in my GitHub. And when I'm doing my research, I want to use all of that material that I've gathered and worked with in order to be able to accomplish what I'm trying to do. Well, now scispace is allowing me to go in and connect to all of those apps so I can have the scispace interface and reach into all of those resources that I need to conduct my research. And they've even added some very, very cool agents. You may be familiar with some previous videos that I've done where we connected up to some apps and where we looked at the biomedical agent, for example. Well, now they're starting to allow us to do even more around grant proposals, around creating presentations, and even generating an entire website. So let's take a look at those things in this video. I think you'll be pretty impressed because there's some pretty neat things you can do. Let's start with connected apps. So you can see here that I've got my research window open. I'm starting to where I can do all the things I can do with scispace. Lots of videos here on the channel about scispace. But when I go into connected apps, you'll notice I have Zotero and I have Mendeley. I showed those in previous videos, but now we have OneDrive, GitHub, and Notion with Slack coming very soon. These are connections that I'm very excited about because I do keep a lot of my files and PDFs in OneDrive. I have code in GitHub, and then in Notion, it's a great markdown language tool that I can often either use directly or a lot of times I'll have other apps that allow me to save into Notion. So now that I'm connected, I can just reference them in my query window. So let's say, for example, I have a OneDrive folder called 1846, which I know I have. It's a course that I teach or used to teach, and maybe I want to look at some of the student activities that are in that folder. So I've gone in and I've said, can you provide a summary of the student activities in my OneDrive folder named 1846? Of course, this could be any research question if I have documents, PDFs in there, but let's go and see how scispace can go and reach into my OneDrive folder in order to get this material. And connecting is very easy. All you do, I've already connected up to all these services. All you need to do is click the connect button. You'll be prompted with a login authentication window. You'll log in with your account for Notion, GitHub, OneDrive, and then you'll be connected. Now scispace can go in and start working with the contents of that drive, of that folder that I've specified in my query. Now, it took a few moments to go through and analyze everything in that folder, but it did a really nice job. It actually helped me find what I was looking for. You can see here that I've got the actual markdown for that folder that it did. It's got the activity zip that it downloaded. Interestingly, it did have a challenge finding it, but it was able to resolve it. So there was some information in there that it was able to go. I can download the summary of this folder. I can even design infographics showing the learning pathway here. It's a little bit of an older course that I taught, so you can see the dates are 20 years old, but actually the student activities are fantastic. So you can see here, I can even create new updated lesson plans based upon these activities around things like communication, analyzing risks, all of these types of things. You can see here that it gives me my outputs. I can go into the specifics of the outputs here, see all the files that were used, and I can even use the citation. It'll go right into the PDF. So when I grab that particular citation, it'll go right to the PDF, and you can see here's the PDF of that particular course. So this is an activity that's part of my Microsoft training that I did some years back on this particular course, but it's still a very interesting course. So you can see here, that was a way of reaching into my OneDrive. But I can do this for GitHub, I can do this for Notion. This is a very powerful feature that scispace allows me to connect up to all of these different resources. And I can go right into them without having to go and upload them into scispace, and it's very handy. Now, if you want to see something absolutely amazing, we also have the ability to use scispace to not just retrieve information, but to agentically act upon what it is that we want to do. This is absolutely incredible because scispace will act as an expert and produce incredibly high quality material. So for example, if I want to create a presentation, if I want to search for grant opportunities, or if I want to build a website, I can ask scispace to do those activities, and rather than getting a bullet point list by list of things I should do, it will actually execute and create that entity or do that work. Let's use a website as an example. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, can you go ahead and create a website using artificial intelligence to support research-backed learning methods such as metacognition, spaced repetition, enhanced interrogation, Socratic inquiry, interleaving, and more. I want it to build an actual website for me. I'm going to go and execute this, and it will take a little bit of time for it to build this, but it's not just going to give me the steps of building a website, it's going to actually build the entire website. Now it's going through gathering all of the research and it's going to build a website off of this. I won't play the video for the entire process or record the video for the entire process. We'll just wait and see when it's finished the result that we get. But I wanted to pop in and show you that it's not just creating a generic research or a generic website out of anything. It's doing the research prior to creating that website. So it's gone through and it's created quite a nice looking website here. You can see here that I've got metacognition, spaced repetition, elaborative interrogation. I've got Socratic inquiry, interleaving. So it allows me to navigate the website. It allows me to go in and I'll modify this website, obviously put some of my own branding and such in here, although I could potentially ask it to create certain branding if I provided those files. But the point is that it created quite a nice file, quite a nice website here. It's generated the files for me, or I can go back to the files here. I can go in and enhance this through additional tools, so technical report, separate dashboard page, all of these types of things can be generated right here within the scispace environment. And this is just the website agent. There's also an agent for creating presentations, which is quite quick and quite useful, and ones for looking for grants. So this is a very interesting aspect to scispace that we're seeing evolve. We had the biomedical agent earlier. We now have these agents, and there's more on the way. So I'm pretty impressed overall. And not only am I impressed with all the things that scispace can do, my little black cat Blossom is also impressed. We were doing research on how to build a better mousetrap. Now, no matter what you're doing with research, no matter what you need to do in terms of accessing all of your different sources of information that you have stored in OneDrive, Notion, GitHub, all of the different tools that you're using, you have the integrations, you have the ability to actually use agentic tools to create things like presentations, work with grants, build websites. It's pretty impressive. Plus, of course, we have all the other things that scispace can do, and I hope you'll check out some of my other scispace videos here on the channel. They seem to release features on a fairly regular basis, so I really do enjoy making videos to share those features with you. Comment down below if you're using scispace, if there's other tools that you're using as well, and if there's anything else you would like to see. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Right, Blossom?